Path of Exile thing. Hold on a second. Huzzah! Huzzah! Chat, you gotta teach me lots, because I didn't get to play Path of Exile 2 on launch because of the 24H2 bug. So I want to get into it, but I know nothing. Me. Here we go. I think that's everything. But yeah, if you'd like information at all, PoE 2.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games, and welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of what's coming next for Path of Exile 2. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Sun Priest's Incineration rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Now with that out of the way, let's get started.
Yes, the stream is sponsored.
It's time to give you a teaser of what's coming in Path of Exile 2.
We're reviewing
the third Edict.
the update. Hooray! Chat, you may explain many things to me about this. I always thought graphically it was kind of gorgeous.
I have called you here to save our people. To save our way. Over the
That guy's
ages,
kind of cute.
We have known pain like no other. But we endured. And we became mighty. Now, outsiders dishonor our shores. And we
Drew, thank you for the 3 months. Thank you,
doing
thank you.
Nothing. Hear my voice, ancestors.
Do any of the classes let me
Show us
be
your
like a
strength.
druid or something?
Show us the
Can I be a
true way.
wolf? Can I be a ferret?
I understand. Be still. I open your call.
Monkey! I like the big hammer.
The true Makuramakoi will rise.
Druid is planned? Wait, so I might be able to be a wolf sometime? 35 new areas is kind of crazy. Zip, 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 zip. Sprinting. Did you not sprint before? Introducing. Creator. Anther, thank you for the 64 months. Thank you, thank you. It's nice of them to make a green mode just for me.
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's not all.
Thank you for the 2 months.
There's also
Thank you,
3
thank you.
new interlude acts to get you to Endgame, which means we're removing Cruel Difficulty too. After that, we'll be going
What's
through the
Cruel
massive changes to
Difficulty?
characters. I'm super excited to show you how I've overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and yes, there are buffs. Next, we'll go over the rise of the Abyssal. this season's exclusive league mechanic and talk about the new rewards, crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to the endgame. Then it's time to talk about items, crafting, and oh yeah, trade. That's going to be a big one. We'll then go over our new supporter packs and finish up with a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 p.m. Pacific, patch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on. We've got a lot to cover today, but first, another announcement. When the third Edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2. That's right, Path of Exile 2 will be free for the first time without requiring an early access key. The
That's
free
pretty
weekend
cool.
will end on September the 1st, so you'll have plenty of time to give the game a try. All right, let's get started with Act 4. The story continues from the end of Act 3. Doryani has agreed to help you find an ancient weapon that can be used against corruption, the instrument of the third Edict. The weapon was broken in ages past, but he believes that
No,
the
Chad,
pieces
the
may be
servers
found
are
in
going to
the
be
Kurui
great on a free
archipelago,
weekend. It's
the
going to
home
be
of the
fine.
Kurui tribes. You will need to journey to King's March, hire a ship, and set sail.
I always thought the animations were pretty
When
good.
you open the map, you can choose
Like
to
the
sail
run
anywhere
animation
you
and
like.
stuff like that.
Act 4 is completely non-linear, and you can visit the islands in any order you choose. Will you visit the pristine beaches of Whakapanu Island?
Say that
The
again?
Kurui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the weapon you seek.
Ooh, I like that slam the
Or
ground
maybe
and then
you will
flip
visit
and
the
slam it
volcanic
again.
shores of the Isle of Kin. The Kin have been more restless recently, mining for sulfite and driven
You did
by
it
some
again!
dark force.
Smack. Spin, smack.
Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Kurui tribes. Their ancient wisdom could hold clues to finding the third edict. No matter where you choose to go, you will fight dangerous beasts, find fabulous treasures, and battle incredible bosses.
Can I have a cute pet? I always liked having the ferret pet in that one
There
game.
are 8 islands to discover, each teeming with
I
its own
can?
flora and fauna.
Is one of them a ferret?
Act 4 contains over
Or
100
an
new monster
otter?
types, 16 new areas,
Or a
12 new
minch?
bosses, and plenty of other interesting encounters.
Boobs!
There's a huge amount to show, but we're not going to spoil too much here. We want to give you a chance to discover it all for yourself. What happens after Act 4? Well, until now you had to repeat the entire campaign again before you could face the endgame. But after adding Act 4, the game is far too long to make you do that. We needed something else to do in between the end of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course, and we're calling them the Interludes. The Interludes are a set of 3 temporary side stories that will be included in the game until Act 5 is released, that will take you to level 65 where the endgame can begin. The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham village after the defeat of Count Geonor, but there's a new danger afoot. The nearby town of Holton is surrounded by an impenetrable darkness. And
That
each night,
guy's
a collective
entire,
townfolk
like,
emerge to raid the
collarbone
local
and torso
farmlands.
got turned into a mouth. That sucks,
You'll
man.
discover new areas. And new bosses. You'll need to find your way through the darkness,
Laimu bot, no.
uncover the source of corruption,
Soon you will serve our master.
and defeat it.
Yes, I shall dance with their corpse.
And that's just the first interlude. The second interlude will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty. When the skies align, the gifting of water requires
Is
a
this the
chosen
kind of
second
world where,
to
like,
meet with the
everything is
Selkari,
terrible
guardians
and
of the
death is
sacred
actually,
water.
like, you know,
But they're
the
nowhere to be
kindest
found.
thing?
You will need to track down the Selkari,
Because everything looks very fucked.
find those responsible for disrupting the gifting, fight even more new bosses,
That guy has a cannon
discover
for an
the
arm.
secrets
That's
of the
pretty
ancient
sick.
ritual, discover new locations,
Would you be okay with mutating if you had a cannon for an arm?
and ultimately help Asala carry out her sacred duty. Now for Interlude 3. As Royal Thaumaturge of the Vaal, Doryani had plans within plans to save his people from the cataclysm perpetuated by Atzeri's lust for power.
I like his cool arm.
One such plan involved sealing a group of willing Vaal deep in a great mountain vault near the home of the Asmeri, deep enough to survive the cataclysm. Even though thousands of years have passed, he believes that their descendants may still live and may be key to defeating the beast. The journey up the mountain will be dangerous.
Whenever I see auto crossbows, I think of that one
foes
guy in
stand in
Night
your
Rain
way.
that absolutely nukes you, and I get stressed.
And the further up the mountain you venture, the colder it will become. Explore caves of ice and enter the vault itself. Who can say what you will find within? The interludes are
That guy
6 to
had an
7
absurd
areas
amount of
each, and
blood. I don't
generally
think he
include
had that
4
much
boss fights
blood.
as well. When you put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign and 24 new bosses. It's worth making clear that the interludes are temporary. When Act 5 and 6 are added, the interludes will be going away. These are side stories after all, but don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away. And with that, we don't need cruel difficulty anymore. We do know that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times in each
This
character.
guy's voice feels
And
like
this
it's
was a huge
inside my
reason that
ears.
the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again. But we do also have another new feature to address that particular concern as well. So let's talk about sprinting. In 030, when you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint for. The primary purpose of this feature is to make navigating areas faster when out of combat. Because of that, if you do take a hit while sprinting, you'll fall to the ground. The best idea is to use a skill when you see monsters. That'll break you out of the sprint so you can engage with no danger. If you do need to run away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the game, allowing you to retreat from combat. Sprint is a pretty significant change
You
to
remember
PoE2's
when in
gameplay.
WoW,
What I
hunters
like
used
most
to be
about
able
it
to
is that
turn
we
on
can
aspect of
accelerate
the
pace
pack,
game
and
for
then if
those
they
who
didn't
want
turn it
that,
off, you would just get
without having
dazed
to
over and over
compromise on
again?
PoE2's more visceral combat systems. Okay, so that's the new extensions to the campaign, but there's a whole giant league to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters. And probably one of the biggest new systems here is with the support gems. Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build. They're what enables so many interesting mechanics and different ways to play. But PoE2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the limitation of only having one support gem of each type on your character. We didn't want builds to just become using the same 5 most powerful supports in every skill. The problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build. If you can only use each support gem on one skill, it means that you're encouraged to go all in on that one ability. And we want to encourage
I'm
you to
following
combo
you.
your abilities. Something needed to change. So with that in mind, we've removed the restriction of having one of each support gem per character.
Oh.
You can now use as many copies as you like.
Oh.
This should drastically increase the amount of possible builds and increase the amount of skill diversity.
That sounds nice. Does that mean I can put, like, if
There
I
are a
found
lot of
something that I
potential
liked
builds
with
that
lightning,
suffer
I
from
could
the
go zip
previous
zap, zip zap,
restriction.
zip zap on
For
everything?
example, a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill. They couldn't use stacking poison on more than one skill either.
I like electricity,
This
chat.
severely limited your ability to combo with anything outside of the specifically designed poison archetype, but now you can. Many utility skills previously couldn't scale to endgame, because the supports that would make them scale were more useful to use in other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo, when you would much rather use it on your primary skill instead. There are more examples like this all over the place.
Is that like a monk? It looks a bit like a monk.
In addition to that, though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the supports as you went through the game. There were only 3 tiers of supports, and many of the most important ones were given out at tier 1. Also, there were no strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of sockets required quite a lot of thinking.
If there's no druid, I
In
would
order
be a
to solve
monk.
these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go
Can I
through
be
the
an
game.
electricity monk?
For example, double barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost of 30% less reload
Try
speed.
thank you for the 61
At tier
months.
2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then at tier 3, the support gem gets something new. It now reloads automatically when you heavy stun an enemy. In some cases, the highest tiers might work a little differently, and you'll have to decide if you like the upgrade or not, depending on your build. For example, rapid casting. The first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at tier 3, it changes to a new approach. For each different spell you cast in the last 8 seconds, you get 10% increased cast speed, which could be a pretty big bonus if you use a lot of different spells. So that's pretty good for upgrades through the campaign, but we wanted to add a little more spice to the endgame for supports too.
If you didn't
And
use
that's
a
where
lot
our
of
new
spells, would
system,
you just leave it at
Lineage
tier 2
supports,
so
comes
that
in.
you don't end up like losing the
You can
bonus
think of these like
cast
unique
speed
items, but for supports.
in exchange for a buff you won't use,
There are
maybe?
supports that are only available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault. It's an upgraded
Am I
version of
understanding
double
the
barrel that
theory
reloads your
craft?
skills you dodge with, as well as increasing the number of bolts it can hold. But it does mean that it's the only way you can reload the skill now. Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem. Just like unique items, many of these can be found from specific bosses. And there's a ton in the regular drop pool too. Some of them are fairly rare, others fairly common. Some of them are build defining, others are just straight up power upgrades.
What
All in
class
all,
do you
there's
think would
around
work
40
for
lineage
me,
supports
chat?
being added throughout the endgame, so there's
If
a
I
lot
like
of
to
power to
zip
find
zap
out there.
and
Now, the new
escape
support gems are
and
certainly
zip
going
zap
to open
more.
up a lot of builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well. As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame. There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes.
Never played
We
PoE
wanted to
before,
make Cold a
no.
more useful element on the range.
Maybe Monk or
so we
Huntress
expanded
or
the cold
Witch?
tools available. As well as increasing its range, Escape Shot now creates fragments of ice whenever it hits the ground. These fragments explode after a short
I do
time,
like it when
making the
things
skill better for
explode.
killing groups of enemies. But not only that, we added an ice fragment support that creates more of them when killing frozen enemies. And a new buff skill
What
called
if I
Ice
like
Tip
to
Arrows
chain lightning
that allows
things
all your
and
arrows
then
to create
when
ice fragments.
things die, they explode, which causes more
This already gives
explosions
players
and
a
more
range as
lightning?
wanting to use ice.
That sounds
But to take
fun.
further advantage of the ice fragments, Freezing Salvo has been upgraded to shoot additional cold arrows towards every fragment, giving you a nuke-like ability.
Monk can do that? Whoa.
We've also modified Snipe to
Math
consume
Chow,
frozen
thank you for
from
the
enemies,
sub.
dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice ice single target option. And something you might notice about this is that the bonus is a lot higher against bosses. This is actually a change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger reward for it. Another theme you'll see throughout the game is making movement feel better. Toxic Growth is a skill that was pretty cool, but a bit annoying to use with the jump that it had. Now Toxic Growth is a range skill, so you can spam it more easily. And we've also added a new poison skill while we were at it, called Toxic Domain. It creates a small area around you that makes all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters.
Poison explosions?
Another skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow. It's now just a regular arrow, making it easier to use.
Zap!
But it also means you can support it with projectile supports. And it now also has Area of Effect, making it a tool for more than just single target, and allowing it to scale into the endgame. We also added a new spirit reservation called Mirage Archer. This is a meta skill that allows you to create shadowy clones of yourself to use a skill of your choice. Of course, one of the other big problems the Ranger had was survivability. Evasion was the weakest of the three defenses, and we wanted to change that.
Rip.
Currently, Evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to things like slams or unblockable attacks. To make Evasion characters more tanky, we're adding a new mechanic called Deflect. Unlike Evasion, Deflect works on everything. And if you successfully deflect a hit, you take 40% less damage. Items can now give you a mod that gives you some amount of deflection based on your evasion. And there's a bunch of it available on the passive tree too. Deflection is rolled in addition to evasion, so this is an upgrade for regular hits too. And unlike evasion, there's no maximum chance. You can reach 100% deflect against all hits if you spec into it enough. Of course, this is a buff that helps all Dex characters, so the Mercenary and the Monk, but especially the Huntress, are seeing big defense boosts from this as well.
Zap, zap.
Speaking of defensive mechanics, let's talk about block and parry. Now, one of the big concerns on the release of the Huntress was parry feeling unreliable. One of the big reasons for this is there's a lot of hits that are not blockable, and thus not parryable either. So a huge balance change we're making is that now
Laimu
everything
patch
is
Dex
blockable,
got
except
buffed.
for specifically
Thank you
unblockable
very
red
much.
flash skills that
I
bosses use.
appreciate it.
This makes parry much more reliable. And not only that, but to make block and parry nicer to use, you now also move faster than before while using these abilities. This is a massive buff to passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer.
Huzzah!
Fire skills on the warrior were not really cutting the mustard. So we decided we needed to upgrade a bunch of them, but also add some more as well.
I like that
Let's
phrase.
start
I
with
use
the
that all the
buff.
time.
Volcanic fish are now branches into multiple fishes, giving it much more clearing potential.
I'm getting like Jadefire Stomp
We've also added a
flashbacks.
new skill called Forge Hammer. This skill throws a molten hammer that does a slam at a distance.
You get to
You
be
can recall the
Fire
hammer back by
Thor!
using the skill again if you like, but the cooler thing to do is to use a Warcry near it. Using a Warcry makes the hammer explode, making a bunch of volcanic fishes around. Volcanic fishes re-trigger when you slam them, so it's a great skill to make a flaming arena to fight a boss. We also buffed Perfect Strike to have a much larger area of effect, and changed Molten Blast to not always force you to move forward. Trust me, it feels a lot better to use now. This skill now has massively boosted chance to ignite monsters as well. And you're going to want to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry charges up with glory by igniting monsters, invoking King Kaum's favor. After you do, use it to channel Kaum's ancestral power. Every attack will be
mid-range
ancestral and
killer.
boosted with fire. Your very steps will explode, triggering volcanic fishes, and molten balls will erupt from your attacks.
That's kind of honestly real sick. I like that.
Warrior shield skills were another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've got Sprint, we actually don't need to have a cooldown on shield charge anymore. It now also does more damage the further away you are when you use it.
So you just get to sprint around charging everywhere?
Shield wall got significantly upgraded AoE. Also, you can shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls. We also added a new shield Warcry. Fortifying Cry gives you a defensive buff, but it also
Was
builds
Warrior
up charge on
struggling?
your
'Cause it
shield that
seems like they
empowers
just
your
got
other
nuts
shield
on it.
skills. And Magma Barrier now doesn't require timing in order to use. Just wait for your shield to charge up and block. Seismic Cry now stuns enemies that are primed for stun. And we changed the Sunder interaction with Armor Break. It now also gives a Sundered Armor debuff that makes enemies take 40% extra physical damage. Great for bosses.
Yeah.
Ancestral Warrior Totem has undergone some pretty significant changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charges to summon, and massively buffed its damage. It also now scales your weapon damage too. Since there's no limit anymore, if you build around
Why does
generating
that one
endurance
have
charges,
bowls?
you can summon an entire forest of totems.
Oh, Totem.
In order to make that easier, we added some new sources of endurance charges. There's now a support to make Perfect Strike generate charges, and a support for generating endurance charges from heavy stuns as well. Speaking of totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we've made to this class, Answered Call now gives an extra totem, and the spirits have just been generally buffed in many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukahama proud. We've also merged
Warrior
the
can be a
Grateful Howl
summon
and
class?
Warcall as bellow support, so that you can get all the benefits with 1 point. And Encased in Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit.
You think at the end they will do a and one more thing and show the
up,
sickest
let's talk
class
about
in the entire
accuracy.
world?
Accuracy was always intended to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But unfortunately, that's not currently the case. This was particularly annoying with skills like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess with. So we significantly buffed your chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy. Warriors shouldn't require any accuracy investment in order to hit with close range attacks now.
Why did he just
We
get
also
ensnared
wanted
by
to improve armor.
tentacles?
Now, one of the major weaknesses of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage. In order to mitigate this, we're adding a lot more of the stat that allows your armor to defend against elemental damage. It's now available on items and in a lot more places on the passive tree. One of the most important improvements we've made in 030 is to declunk the action and flow of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement penalty.
That's cool.
But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills. With both of these changes put together, the run and gun playstyle feels much better.
No audio on the VOD? Yeah, sorry, that is
It's hard to
because
explain how
it's on
important this
my
change is for the feeling of the class.
VOD track,
The
so
Mercenary is
that
also
if
a
they
good
play
chance to talk
DMCA
about how
music,
we're
I don't get in
rebalancing to
trouble.
make comboing skills much
It will
better.
be there on
Take Shock, for
YouTube.
example. It buffs damage and lasts
Tomorrow.
4 seconds right now. But that doesn't really give
But
you
otherwise, I
enough
would
time to take
definitely use their
advantage of
bot
it.
instead.
If you're going to add a lightning
Apologies.
skill into a build that otherwise wouldn't use one, we need to make mechanics like this much better.
Yeah,
So
it's in
with
case they
increased
suddenly
shock
started
duration on
deciding
monsters
that
to
they
last
wanted to
8
blast,
seconds.
like, I don't know, AC/DC during the
And skills
lightning
like Plasma
showcase or
Blast, which are
something,
intended
I
to be good at
wouldn't
shocking
get
enemies,
freaked up.
now increase the damage bonus by a lot more. You'll find changes like this all around the game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave in cold damage. Freezing skills are better at freezing. Burning skills need to cause burns that last longer. But making skills like Permafrost Bolts and Incendiary Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills much more likely. We're also making sure to buff specific combos too. The freeze explosions from frag rounds now chain to nearby enemies.
Cheating
And using
abilities!
high velocity rounds with Armor Break will now fragment the opponent's armor. This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with every subsequent hit, even tiny pellets. So that means following it with a shotgun blast is way more effective.
Pya, 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 pya,
Now,
pya,
there's a lot
pya.
more buffs to crossbow skills, but for now I'm just going to talk about the new one we added, the Mortar Cannon. This one lets you socket any grenade skill, and using it will summon a cannon which loads and then fires the grenade you choose. Another issue on the Mercenary were banners. They were just not very good, so we're doing a big upgrade to them. They now last longer, don't disappear when moving out of them, and we removed the Valor mechanic. They now just give a much more consistent and stronger buff.
What class
and you
is
can use
this?
them when you get enough glory. On which, one of the main focuses was making various minion types more useful to use together.
Mercenary.
Melee
okay.
minions in particular were just not that great compared to ranged ones. As a starting point, we just straight up removed the requirement for minions to have accuracy. Attack minions now always hit, which makes them way better. Brutes got some good numeric buffs, but we also added a new command skill where they do a war cry that intimidates enemies and detonates any frozen monsters and allies around you in a big cold explosion.
It is kind of crazy how much they're adding.
We've also changed the Frost Mage's command skill to an ability that adds ice armor to your other minions, adding a layer of defense. And it makes them deal cold damage back to the attacker as well. The ice armor also makes the minion count as frozen, so the Brute's war cry can detonate them too. Unearth was changed to work on corpses of your dead skeletons, allowing you to summon the minions more easily in boss fights.
Oh, that's cool.
And they also
I
got a new
like the
jump ability,
wave of
allowing them to get into
skeletons.
combat faster. Ray's Spectre was also feeling pretty weak for the spirit cost they have. To be honest, we were a little afraid of these when we first balanced them. We've both decreased the spirit cost for a large range of monsters, and have significantly increased Spectre damage too. They should feel a lot more impactful. There's also a lot of new spellcaster weapons with newer cult skills, but I'll just talk about one of them that I thought was particularly cool. The Reaping Staff is actually a wicked scythe that gives you a new ability called Reap. When an enemy is low in life, you can dash forward and rake enemies with the scythe to cull them instantly, healing you.
Ooh.
It can also inflict critical weakness on enemies too. Now, there's a lot of balance changes in the Witcher's Ascendancy classes.
So what
but
are
I'll
the
just talk
existing
about two of them
classes
for
right now? Monk
On the Blood Mage, you were previously required to spend your first points on
and
Sanglemancy,
Huntress?
which really was supposed to be the downside for
and-
being able to access the powerful abilities on the rest of the class.
Warrior?
In order to make picking the Blood Mage a better early
Mercenary?
option, we've made Sanglemancy free, unlocking the power of the rest of the class immediately. On the Infernalist, the Demon Form
free?
wasn't something people were really using because you lost your weapon stats while transformed. Well, you no longer do, so it's a much better option now.
Cool
On the
demon.
Monk, the wind skills needed a big upgrade for sure. Staggering Palm can now stack up its duration
Cult
if you use the skill
Impaction, is
multiple
that
times in a
you?
row. So you can keep the effect of all your skills throwing up wind much more easily. Wind Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but dazing just
Thank you
wasn't
for the
worth all that
5 months.
effort.
Thank you very
Now it
much.
just dazes on hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily. Following up with Vaulting Impact on a dazed enemy previously did a bunch of stun. Now it allows you to break your enemy's stance. When their stance is broken, following up with a fast attack will do way more damage.
Cha.
A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in PoE 1 was hand-to-hand combat. But until now, we just didn't have a real way to make it viable. Well, that changes now. The Monk, as a true martial artist, now has the ability to learn the Hollow Palm technique.
I can
A
punch?
keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills while unarmed. All
Yeah!
quarterstaff attacks now have a special unarmed version, and you get further bonuses to all your attacks from stacking energy shield and evasion on your character.
I want to play that! Punch up,
A
punch
new
up, punch up,
keystone
punch
we
up.
also added to the Monk section of the tree is Walker of the Wilds. This changes Mana Leech to work with elemental damage instead of physical,
Ooh.
which is pretty usul for all those elemental attacks.
Oh, she got me
Monk has.
twins. Thank you for the
It works
20
well for the
months. Thank
ranger
you,
too.
thank you.
Now,
It's
one
good
of the
to see you
least used
guys.
ascendancy classes in the game is the Acolyte of
Cinerex,
Chiyula.
thank you for the 10
So we
months.
knew we needed to make some changes here.
Thank you so
One of the key
much.
things we had to do was make the chaos damage that the Acolyte can do much more useful. So we've added a new skill, allowing chaos
And some
damage
of it
to
is thank you for the
ignite,
67
shock,
months.
chill,
Thank you, thank
and
you.
freeze, embracing the elemental prowess of the monk in a truly chaotic fashion. In addition, he can make all of his chaos damage leech.
Ooh.
And we've buffed Into the Breach and Embrace the Darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point nodes into the base skills. He also gains a new notable, Grasp of the Void, which leaves void illusions behind you as you
CD
dodge them.
boy, thank you for the 3
If they're
months.
killed, they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight. Now let's talk about Sorceress skills. One of the things we wanted to improve on the Sorc is the ability to use multiple elements together more effectively.
So this is the one that
Now,
you play
this
if you
might
want to
seem
just
small,
spam
but one of
huge
the things
effects.
pushing you towards using a single element is debuffs like Elemental Curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning. Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at the same time.
Ooh.
And
John,
things like
thank you for the
Frostbomb, which give
25
cold
months. Thank you,
exposure,
thank you.
now give elemental exposure. You can use it to buff any of your other skills. We also wanted to make switching between different weapon sets smoother, so you can use different elemental staves more effectively. To do that, we've removed the weapon switch time, and now happens instantly. This applies game-wide too. Now, we didn't just
so
want to
much
stop
lightning.
there. We wanted to add some specific mechanics that work between different elements, and that's where elemental infusions come in. Certain skills can now drop elemental infusions. For example, when a frost bomb explodes, it leaves behind a cold infusion on the ground. After picking it up, you can spend it on one of any number of different skills to transform how they work. Spark will create a nova of cold infused projectiles.
That's cool.
Ice Nova will leave a chilled area on the ground. And we also added a new low-level skill that fires ice shards. Use it with cold infusion though, and the ice shards will explode. Orb of Storms now generates lightning infusions when you cast enough spells near it. And that's all spells, by the way, not just lightning. Once you have one, you could cast a lightning flame wall, which adds both fire and lightning damage to all the projectiles that pass through it.
Is that
Or
gonna
power
break
up
my
Inner
brain?
Fusillade with lightning, which will generate arcs to nearby enemies as each fireball hits. Or maybe go lightning on lightning with arc. This skill is now a projectile, and by infusing it, you can go full Palpatine. Get fire infusions by blowing up monsters with living bomb. Then use them with Comet to summon a giant fire meteor from the sky. Or use it with Firestorm, which transforms it from a small area into a much bigger one. Firestorm is unique in that it can be infused by multiple different elements at the same time. Add an ice infusion to rain down ice at the same time as the fire. And add lightning to add deadly strikes from the heavens into the mix.
Zap, zap, zap.
Or use it with all 3 to generate a storm that is truly apocalyptic. Cold Snap has been simply turned into Snap. Previously, you could use it to shatter ice, but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments and makes them leave behind infusions. And just like how you could previously use it on Frostbolt, you can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well, which means you can create many infusions at once.
How is it that like she's basically in melee range but not
We also
taking
have a Spirit
damage there?
Reservation
Is that
skill
like some sort of
and a
defensive thing?
support gem to help generate them too. On the passive tree, we've added quite a few new keystones to the Sorceress section. Here are a couple of examples. The Black Flame Covenant keystone converts your fire spells to chaos and causes your ignites to deal chaos damage. Your fire spells and ignites will also turn purple. The Ritual Cadence keystone causes your invocation skills to trigger more times.
She has a
It
shield
makes them
made of
trigger periodically
magic.
over a
I
longer
see, I
duration
see.
instead of one. Great for those auto bomber builds. Now, in addition to skill changes, we've added a lot more options for the passive tree for each class. Overall, there are more than 100 new notables on the tree, usually around 20 per class, along with smaller clusters as
How
well.
long is the sponsor?
Check out the old version.
Only 30 minutes, but
And
I'm
here's the new
enjoying
version.
watching. If
It's a
that
lot
is
more
okay,
dense,
I
and
am
there's more
having
interesting
fun
nodes
watching.
than
Oh
before.
Jesus Christ, no!
Now, we probably can't go through too many of these in the live stream,
Too
so I'll
much!
just show you one from each class's area of the tree.
Too much.
We tried to be a lot more thematic with the new nodes. So for example, the Molten One's Gift. It lets the benefit of armor break apply to your fire damage. Or how about Last Stand, which gives you lots of stats as your situation becomes more and more desperate. A lot of these have themes aligning with ascendancy classes, like for the Gemling Legionnaire, for example. You have crystallized
I'll be right back
immunities,
very,
which makes
very
you
quickly.
immune to
Can you tell
different
them not
status
to announce
ailments,
anything
depending on which
sick nasty
support
while
gem
I'm
color you have
away?
socketed
I
the
need to
most.
pee.
Another ascendancy class align notable is Sanguimatic Rituals. It allows arcane surges to generate life instead of mana, unlocking that support gem to be used with the Blood Mage Ascendancy. In the Sork area, you'll find these Archon nodes that allow you to convert all of your elemental damage to a specific element. You become a Lightning Archon when you spend enough mana, after which all your skills will be converted to lightning, and you will do extra lightning damage as well. We have ones for cold and fire too, with different triggers. Here's another cool one. Elemental Practitioner gives crit bonuses if you've triggered a skill recently, while also making crits generate more energy for triggers. Or maybe you'd like the Great Boar. It gives you a reason to stack dexterity to make you tougher, giving a bonus to life and stun threshold. Or the Cunning Fox. It straight up gives you 5% quality to all your gems. Now another major change is attribute requirements. We felt like players probably had a few too many nodes and attributes and not enough in interesting passives, so we lowered attribute requirements by 25% across the board. That means you'll have more points to spend on interesting notables rather than just needing to allocate more strength, dex, and int. Now there are way more changes than just these. These are just some of the cooler ones we wanted to show off, but I'd say that's just about enough for now. We're not even half done yet. So I think it's time that we talk about the League, the rise of the Abyssal. And to do that, I'd like to hand things over to Mark.
As you just saw, even though there are major changes to the campaign for this update, we want to make sure that every time you come back for an expansion, each area feels different with something extra going on. It is really important to make sure your experience when returning between expansions is fresh and filled with new content. And the way we did this was through leagues. Every expansion we make has a league, which not only has a fresh economy, but also has new content exclusively available in that league. So, let's delve into the details of what Path of Exile 2's first official league is bringing to the table. The Abyssal are a race that have mastery of forbidden magics and necromancy. They were thought to be extinct, but have merely been biding their time underground. You first encounter signs of the Abyssal in Clairfell, where you discover that during the
Did they
night,
reveal something sick
weaker members
nasty?
of the Undead Legion have been attacking the encampment. The townsfolk require your help to investigate where the monsters are coming from and put a stop to their attacks.
Out there, ancient creatures, lurking beneath the surface.
As you proceed through Rayclast,
They showed
you'll
a
find
Sonic the
fissures in
Hedgehog
earth
collab.
connected to larger pits. The monsters normally inhabiting the area are being affected by it, harmed by it even, having their souls eaten to strengthen the Abyssal underground. As you defeat the monsters, the fissure closes and Abyssal emerge,
What's a
angered
league,
by
chat?
killing their food. Once all those fissures have been sealed, the pit activates, and more Abyssal pour out. This is where the larger
like a
and more
season.
dangerous
Okay.
monsters reveal themselves, as hordes of Abyssal spew out from the pit to take your soul. If you kill a magic pack, then magic Abyssal arise. If you kill a rare, then a rare monster will emerge from the pit, having absorbed some or all of its modifiers for itself.
Do the pets
This
do
means
things
the
in this
monsters
game, by the way,
emerging will
chat, or are they
generally be
like
more difficult
cosmetic?
and more rewarding, as each modifier gives better rewards.
And like, you know how in Torchlight your pet would like store things and then
If
go
you
off
are
and sell
able
it
to
for
kill
you?
them all, the pit will seal shut. As each pit is closed, it reveals a potential reward.
Cosmetics, I see, I see.
Abyssal troves will rise up out of the pits, allowing you to get some epic loot.
I know he's saying pit, but it made me think pet.
Areas often contain many pits, with many fissures, and the amount goes up as you progress through the game, getting more intense. It doesn't stop there. When monster mods are absorbed, they have a chance to become infused with the
Hey
dark
chat, how much
necromancy,
does this game struggle with the
transforming
bit
them
rate
into
when you
abyssal
stream it?
modifiers. For
I'm just
example,
looking at some of this
you
like,
defeat
oh
this
no.
monster with the Mana Siphoner modifier. Their soul is eaten by the pit, and a rare monster emerges. The Mana Siphoner
Don't
modifier
let your
has
pets eat
transformed
souls.
into Soul Siphoner, and is now amplified in danger and reward. Abyssal pits also interact with other monsters and mechanics. If you defeat a rogue Exile that's near one, it'll be revived as a Lichborn that has multiple Abyssal modifiers.
I feel like animations would be really
Lichborn
important for this kind of
Exiles
game
even
because,
have
like,
their own unique jewel they can drop, if you are lucky enough to encounter.
because
and
it's like
kill
such a horde and you're kind of kiting around and stuff. I feel like if the
them. If an
animations aren't
abyss
cool,
spawns
it would
near a
just be really
boss,
unsatisfying.
Killing it will
So I
summon
like the ones that have like
gigantic
big meaty
giga-larvae
feels.
creature. Monsters imprisoned in essences near abyssal pits are affected by the abyss too. They will come with an additional new essence item that
Zach,
can be
thank you for
used
the
to
5
craft your
months. Thank you,
items.
thank you.
So, that's your bread and butter of the Abyssal League. Kill surface-dwelling monsters, kill the emerging Abyssal, close the fissures, overcome pit encounters, and reap the rewards. There's a lot more to this league, however. As you complete Abysses, you can find ancient pieces of bone, preserved from the remains of fallen Lichborn.
Yeah, I mean, when I
These are one of
first
the
wanted to
many
play this
rewards for your
game,
mission to
they
seal
had the
the pits.
D4H2 bug that meant that it,
You
like,
can use this on a rare item
hard
to imbue it
rebooted
with
my
abyssal
computer.
magic,
But apparently that's
adding a
fixed now, so
special
I'm
hidden
excited to finally
modifier
get
to
to
your
play.
item. But how do you reveal it? In Act 2 of the campaign, you'll encounter a new area. This area is overrun by the Abyssal and the Lost Men. After clearing through this area, you'll find the Well of Souls, a giant cavity with a massive vortex of
class?
souls swirling
I
beneath you.
liked Monk and
So how do you reveal
maybe
the
some
mods
of
on
the
your
magic
Abyssal-infused items? Obviously, just throw them in, right? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Before throwing it in, you are given the option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3 different modifiers. Once you've chosen your desired mod, throw it in, where it will absorb the power of the souls, and the ominous creature will then retrieve it for you. These modifiers can be ones from the core mod pool, all the way through to specialized modifiers.
do you think there
that
might be
cannot
anything
normally
long-term
appear on
damaging
items.
by, like,
During the
infusing your
campaign,
weapon
you can
with
use
damn
it as a way
souls?
to more easily add useful existing mods. But during the
thank you for the
endgame,
69
there is a
months.
whole
Thank
set
you,
of
thank
new and
you.
powerful mods you can add to your items. Like this mod for crossbows that allows you to place an additional ballista totem.
No?
Or
Okay.
this one that adds spirit to your staff. Or this one that allows you to generate more combo with your quarterstaff skills. And speaking of endgame, you can also use the system to craft waystones. With a preserved vertebrae fused into your waystones, you can get some new modifiers that push difficulty and rewards to new heights. Here are some examples of those mods. You always get a choice of 3, so you can avoid anything you don't think your character is capable of.
That sounds
With
like a
this
terrible
modifier,
idea,
the
Laimu.
natural inhabitants of the area are all spawned near abysses, and there are up to 9 additional abyssal pits in the area, making it just a full-on abyss ruckus. Or this one, which causes the final abyssal pit in the area to always result in a boss encounter, be it either one underground or one that emerges out. There are
always
dozens
the
of these
story in this
waystone
game,
modifiers
Chuck.
in total you can get from this crafting. That covers the new crafting mechanic. So what's left? Well, we talked about how when closing pits you can get abyssal troves.
Pretty
But
good. That's
sometimes when
good.
closing an abyss, you'll reveal an underground cavern that leads to the abyssal depths.
Just
After
ignoring
jumping
those things
into the
cause he's like,
depths,
nah, bye.
You'll find an abyssal city, swarming with legions of the undead. When underground, every single rare abyssal enemy will have an abyssal modifier.
What do you think the undead down here do
And at
when
the
there's
end
like
of the
nobody
dungeon, you'll
invading
even
their
find a rare
pits?
with a more powerful Lichborn
Like, do they just like
modifier.
lie there disassociating and staring
Once
at the
you're
sky?
able to defeat this powerful rare, you can also find some nice rewards. Aside from the entire area being valuable due to the abyssal modifiers on the monsters, it has its own specific drops too. One example is a set of lineage supports that can rarely be found in these depths, like Kurgle's Leash. This support empowers both you and your minions when you command them, granting unholy might to you both. Another depths-specific outcome is a set of omen-like items that amplify your abyssal crafting. Additionally, we're adding some new socketables that can drop from the abyssal depths. Take Ulaman's Gaze, which can be socketed into your armor. These are a bit special.
Quantum undead
in that you
status,
can
they have
only
no
one
status until
equipped at a
observed.
time,
Oh, like
but
school
give some
teachers?
pretty powerful effects. Think of them as almost a unique socketable for your equipment. In the endgame, where you can still find depths, you also start to find a different type of underground chamber. In these areas, you'll find an ancient spire, a device being used by commanders of the Abyssal factions to plunge Rayclast into a lightless void. Your goal is simple. Kill this commander.
Did they
and
show off
destroy the spire.
Druid? I don't know if that's confirmed, right? Chat
There
said
are
that they
4
planned it,
bosses
but
in the
they don't
Abyssal,
know if it's like
and
for
there are some
this. It'd
pretty
be really
cool
cool
uniques
if it
available from
was.
An example is this belt, Darkness Enthroned. It has 2 sockets.
They would have shown it by now?
But
I
hold
think
on,
so, right? Because they're deep
socketables don't
diving
work
now.
on belts. Well, this belt has a special mod that allows it to count as a different slot for the purpose of socketables. This one, for example, counts as a helmet.
Yeah,
kind of
I
want
feel
one
like
that
I
counts
feel
as a
like when
body
there are
armor.
reveals like
I wonder
that,
how rare that one
it
is.
it's like
You
when
can
they're still
also
doing
find
the
this unique jewel,
overview. Because once they
Undying
start
Hate.
deep diving, a lot
This
of people,
jewel
times
transforms
people will
part of your
like, you know,
passive skill
lose
tree
interest
into
or
an
whatever,
Abyssal
and they won't be
version,
there for the
and
actual
has
reveal.
multiple depths. The deeper it goes, the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to fulfill your fantasy of becoming part Abyssal Lich. Now, the last thing that Abyssal commanders can drop is a Finger of the Lich. But what use do you have with a random undead finger? Well, the next time you return to the Well of Souls, with the finger in your inventory,
You're going to believe
your
because you're
character
programmed to
will almost
believe.
feel compelled.
It's like
to do
Game
what, though,
Awards
you might
brain
ask?
rot. Surely
To
there's
jump
one
in.
thing left, right?
The
Right?
items you threw in came back more powerful, right? So, what's the worst that could happen? Well, you will just have to find that one out for yourself. Along with the introduction of Act 4 and the Interlude, we will be adding 25 new endgame maps. These maps will contain all the new monsters and bosses we're adding, improving variety and giving you opportunities to experience the new boss fights many times. Let's take a look at some examples. Rock Pools is a map where you explore a shallow rocky coastline, surrounded by coral and filled with sirens.
I like Carl.
At the end is a giant Goblin King boss, ready to eat sulfite and squish you like a bug.
Wait, is he even eating those, or is he just kind of going bing, 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 bing? Okay, yeah, there you go. Bite down.
Holton is an Ezomite township which has seen better days.
He was just kind of like
Explore
wiggling
and
them.
clear the township to find a gothic,
Stop playing with
Reaper-like
your
boss
food, Dan.
with the ability to manipulate storms and fry you with both lightning and wither you with chaos.
He was playing. Don't play with your food.
Given some of the new bosses added are a bit more epic, such as the Act boss and final bosses of each interlude part, it would be a bit of a waste to just use them as regular map bosses. Instead, we'll be adding some new mechanics to the Atlas that use them. These start appearing pretty fast into the endgame and will help bridge the gap until you do your pinnacle bosses.
Oh, did Reddit die?
In the desert biome, you can encounter a wild
I was gonna go
sandstorm.
look at people freaking out, but
3 maps
it's
around
not
the
loading for
sandstorm
me.
contain a device you must
Oh, there
activate.
it goes. Weird.
Upon doing this, the sandstorm's magic is disrupted, revealing the map inside and allowing you to access it and find the cause. This presents itself
Oh.
in the form of a boss.
Apparently, there's
similar to the
a
existing
potential
Citadel
memory leak
bosses.
when using the NVENC hardware
This
encoding.
boss is a
right now.
Faradin Swordmaster,
I guess I should update
who
my
has been
drivers.
blessed with the power of a time gem, allowing him to take his swordsmanship to the next level by replicating himself, maneuvering rapidly, and severing the fabric of time itself with his powerful slashes. In the water biome, you'll encounter a giant maelstrom, where one of the maps surrounding the water biome connects to it, but the connection is obscured. You must run the maps nearby, hoping to find a beacon, which will remove the maelstrom and reveal the connection to that map. Another example is
Are
this
NVIDIA
Val
drivers
vault
safe?
in the mountain
They've
biome.
recovered over the last few
But how do we
releases,
get
yes. They've been
inside?
pretty good.
Running the adjacent maps to it will yield
There was like a
key,
turnaround driver
which
a
you
few
can
months
then
ago,
use
and
to
now it's
gain
real
access
good.
to this vault. Or you could just trade for one, I guess. Use the key to dispel the powerful force field surrounding it, leading to the Val Elite and their rewards inside. These all contain Uber versions of the Act 4 boss, and the bosses at
I
the
think
end
my
of each
connection
part
might
of the
be
interlude.
pooping itself because I also just disconnected
And
from
each
chat.
have their own
Goodbye,
exclusive
chat. I will
drop
miss
pool
you.
of new lineage supports, which, as Jonathan spoke about earlier, are powerful support gems that modify your skills in pretty crazy ways. As an example of a lineage support which can come from the Faradin
Okay, I
Swordmaster
refreshed.
mentioned
Hello,
earlier,
chat, I'm back!
we have Garo-Khan's Resolve, which causes your critical strikes to fork, but requires some mobility on your part to properly enable. From the boss sealed in the Val Vault, we have Paquate's Pact, which
I would
supports
never
your
abandon you,
Warcries,
don't worry about it.
causing them to inflict massive amounts of corrupted blood at the cost of your own life. Additionally,
I am
some
already
maps can
thinking
now
about my
spawn
weird little
summoning
creature and
circles,
how I'm gonna
a
make him
room
like make it
resembling
to
an
land.
Ezomite hinge. Activating this hinge will spawn bosses. It's as simple as that. We'll also be making changes to how affixes and waystones work. As
Wait,
the
why are there
current
wolves
prefixes
after
equals
you?
good, suffixes equals bad, iteration isn't quite hitting the mark. We tried something new here in Path of Exile 2, but after seeing the feedback, we decided we actually liked what we had in Path of Exile 1 more. Like Path of Exile 1, each affix will now be both difficult and rewarding. Waystone mods now grant an increase to the number of waystones dropped, and
So
an
much
additional
evolution
specific
missed.
upside
Oh
attached to it.
yeah, that would have been really good.
This means as you roll your map, they will continue to get more difficult and more rewarding, and allow you to customize the difficulty and rewards of your maps better. For example, the Frostbitten mod,
It is okay,
which
chat. At the
causes
top of the
enemies to
hour, I
deal
think they're
cold
doing a
damage,
Q&A, so we'll
also
switch
increases
back to the
rarity of
evolution
items dropped as its
game,
upside.
and we're gonna evolve something
Whereas
really, really
the
cool.
Venom suffix modifier, which causes enemies to poison on hit, has the upside of granting increased pack size. Some maps will end up having a lot of rarity, some a lot of pack size, and others will just have a mixture of everything. Due to now having more modifiers granting difficulty, we will of course be reducing the difficulty per modifier to account for this. So, that's your Atlas, maps, and Waystones, but what about Breach, Ritual, Pinnacle content, and others of the sort? We're making some changes around this too. The first change is that you'll now be able to invest 2 points into your specific League Atlas
I noticed they
trees
use this guy for a lot of the
before having to run
promo. Is it
Pinnacle
because they
content.
changed him up and they want to be like, look,
There will
cool.
be a specific objective for each type of
Become
content
Fire
which grants you
Thor.
those points. For example, in the case of Delirium,
Goddamn.
it's simple.
Pow, 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 pow,
You just
pow,
need
pow,
to find
pow.
and kill one of the bosses in a map, Omniphobia or Kosis. The rest of the points for each content come from the Pinnacle content, but we're making some changes to accessibility here too. Currently, access to most Pinnacle content requires the same key at the easiest and
Floppy
most
Sister
difficult
collab
version of
is
the
in
content.
just over an hour, yeah.
This creates a negative feeling.
It's
where
really
at
funny
lower
because we're doing a
difficulties,
voice-activated
instead
game,
of wanting to run
and I
the
have
content,
my throat is
you're
feeling a
often
little bit
better off just
delicate.
selling it to
I
someone
have
who can
singing
run it at
tomorrow.
maximum difficulty.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
To
I'm gonna
address
show up and be
this,
like, I'm sorry,
each
teacher, I
content will
can't
now
actually
drop
sing today.
splinters, which will not form into singular items. Instead of using the singular combined item in the Realm Gate, you can now just bring your splinters. Upon inserting the splinters into the Realm
No,
Gate,
we're playing
an
that
interface
mage
will
game where
appear,
you shout
allowing you to pick
fireball
your
and it
difficulty,
causes a
and
fireball.
you'll notice each
Do you think I'll
difficulty has a
struggle because it
different
won't
entry
understand
cost.
my accent?
This means if you want to run easier difficulties, it costs less, which also allows you to run this content much sooner into the endgame. Because these encounters now just require splinters, their corresponding Atlas tree no longer affects the difficulty of them, and has been changed to purely affect the content and maps on the Atlas. The Arbiter of Ash works a bit differently. Instead of requiring splinters, he still needs crisis fragments. We now have only 2 difficulties of the Arbiter. The first, requiring the existing fragments obtained from citadels. The second, Uber Arbiter, requires Calamity fragments. These come from citadel bosses also, but only once you've allocated the maximum number of points in your boss Atlas tree, ensuring those citadels are at their highest difficulty level. Since we're talking about Pinnacle content, we also felt that the leveling curve in the late game was a bit too steep. We've smoothed this out a bit so that it's easier to get
How
to
are
the
you supposed to
mid-90s.
avoid all of that fire?
We've also
Is that
added
his
some
fire or
new
your
in-game
fire?
unique items.
Whose fire is
Let's
that?
take a look at a couple.
It's just fire everywhere.
Thunderfist is a pair of gloves that grants Crackling Palm, a skill which empowers your unarmed attacks, granting the ability to call down the storms themselves on enemies you hit. Put simply, literally every monster you hit with your unarmed skills will be struck by powerful lightning. Pair this with the aforementioned Hollow Palm technique to embrace your true unarmed prowess in combat. Another unique we're adding is Henekura's Sight. Equip this amulet to be granted the power of the Mother of Death herself. This is reflected by
think,
granting you a skill called Foresight.
Even if you didn't want to follow someone
While
else's
you have
build, you could
Foresight,
probably
your
make
dodge
something
roll
that
no longer
functions
avoids hits.
in the very base
But
leveling up
instead,
things, right?
being hit while dodge rolling restores you to full life.
Like, I hear
and
it's
makes
slightly
you
more
unable to
forgiving than
die
Path of
for a
Exile
brief
1 in that
period of
respect.
time. You'll notice when this does occur.
Like, it might
a
not be
copy of your
viable for
character
playing, like, the
appears and
super
takes
hard
the full
difficulties,
damage.
but you'll be able to get through the
This is
base
you
game.
seeing that future.
If
as
you want to
you
play
hadn't
it,
been
but you don't want to
wearing the
follow a
amulet.
guide, you'll be fine.
Ultimately, your in-game experience should be more streamlined. With new content to find, you'll be able to invest in your Atlas trees sooner, engage with pinnacle content faster, have less FOMO running said pinnacle content.
Is there
reach higher
respecs,
levels
so, like,
easier,
would you be able
and
to
do
fix
all
it
of
later,
that
or would you
while
have to
finding
reroll?
many new chase in-game items. Talking about finding items is one thing, but what about crafting them? We've taken a step back and looked at some of our crafting systems to make some notable improvements.
Okay, yeah, it's not too bad.
Let's start with essences, which suffered from an issue where the regular essences were effectively useless and didn't give players the tools or excitement that a crafting system should provide. To alleviate these concerns, essences are being changed in a few ways. Firstly, they're being changed to function like regals and add specific modifiers with specific values, meaning you know exactly what you're going to get. We found that players were often bottlenecked by regal orbs when crafting in the campaign, so this helps to fill that gap, allowing you to better upgrade your items. For example, this lesser essence of flames, which will be able to add a flat amount of fire damage to your magic martial weapons. Secondly, we're adding many more tiers. That lesser essence of flames, for example, has a regular variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade. The intention of this is so that when you find one early on, you don't worry about holding on to it till later to use on a higher level item.
I
You
like
should
the
feel
big
free
smack.
to use them as they come to get powerful upgrades during the campaign.
Did he just say don't
our
hoard
highest
stuff?
tier of essences, now called perfect essences, will function like a chaos orb instead of a regal. So it will replace one of the modifiers on your rare items with the specified mod, such as this perfect essence of flames. You'll notice this one doesn't just add flat fire damage like the ones before it. The perfect essences often give something a bit different, with some opportunities to be pretty damn powerful. There are many different essences, each with many tiers, covering many of the more core modifiers you'd want on items early on, through to
Something,
chase
one of my
specialized
favorite
ones
things
for
actually,
in-game.
it does it in Dark Souls 3 as well,
Speaking of
is when you
in-game,
have a
we
weapon that
really
should be
wanted to
big and
expand our
unwieldy,
crafting options for
and
late
someone just
in-game
goes
crafting
absolutely
projects.
fucking
You might
ham,
have noticed that
rapidly
at in-game,
slamming it into
you
the
get
ground. It
way
looks
too many
great
transmutes.
and goofy and
Wouldn't
great.
it be nice if
It's
some
like
of
thunk,
those
thunk,
didn't
thunk,
drop,
thunk.
but instead you got
So I
something
liked
a little
watching,
more
I think it was
powerful?
Shoto most recently, or no, it was
At
a
higher levels,
Yuzu,
you can now
and I
find
think they had
greater
clubs
orb of
and they were
transmutation
just beating the hell out of
and
things.
perfect orb of transmutation. These can be used on normal items to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier generated is of a minimum level. This is similar to how you find higher tier items on the ground, but for crafting. These higher tiers will also exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb, Exalted Orb, and Chaos Orb, meaning you can get all of the orbs required to
Kind
take
of
your
reminds
item
me of,
from
like, you know, in
normal rarity
TF2 when
to a
people are
fully
just holding
completed
left
rare
click and
with
running around in
guaranteed high
circles
tier
trying to
mods.
melee each other. It reminds me of that a little bit.
On top of these new
Specifically,
core
like,
crafting
Scout with the bat.
currencies, we wanted to make sure there are powerful crafting bases to use them on. Now in Endgame, you can start to find exceptional items. These are items that drop at normal rarity and are perfect for your from-scratch crafting projects. They can come with extra quality,
Like,
up to 30%, or an additional socket to use your
Is the main
crafting
presentation an
socket rules in.
hour?
And yes,
I'm
they
gonna stay
can
for
be
the
corrupted for yet
and
another
one
socket.
more thing, but I don't think there will be, and then I'm gonna go
You
back to
can also
making
get
abominations.
exceptional unique items. To add even further to your crafting arsenal, we've added a whole suite of new omens to ritual content, and removed some of the more unimpactful ones that weren't being used. Some of the new omens include the Omen of the Ancients, which will cause your next Orb of Chance to not destroy the item, but generate a random unique of the same class. Or the Omen of Sanctification, which is my new favorite. This will cause your next Divine Orb used on a rare item to reroll the values of its modifiers, allowing it to exceed the normal minimum and
Am I
maximum
excited to
values,
play? Yeah.
raising the ceiling on the new most powerful
I
rare
actually
items
have
in the
this
game.
weird relationship with Path of Exile where
This
when the
omen
first
will
game
also
came
cause
out,
your item to become
my
sanctified.
graphics card had that weird bug that it was
Sanctified
like an
items
AMD
cannot be
bug where the
crafted,
frame
just
pacing
like corrupted
was
ones,
super weird,
so
and you would
consider
get like a
carefully
lag
when you
spike
use
of a
this.
second every
Another
few
is the
seconds.
omen of chaotic monsters,
So it felt
which
awful.
will cause your next chaos
So I
orb to
didn't play the
reroll
first
all
one, and then when they
modifiers on a
fixed it,
waste
I had already moved on to other stuff.
allowing you to fix
And then
your
Path of
maps
Exile
if you get some
2
modifiers
came out,
that are not feasible for your
and it
build.
had the 24H2 bug, which meant that my computer was like locking up and rebooting
Besides
while
these
playing.
examples,
So then I
there
didn't
is a
play.
huge variety of new
So now
omens
the
for you to
opportunity is
discover in your
finally
ritual
here.
encounters. With the release of Act 4, notably taking place in the Karori archipelago, you'll be able to now find a new currency item, Henikora's Lock. Henikora, the Karori goddess of death, has the power of foresight and is able to see many futures, including the outcome of your next craft.
When am I gonna
So,
play? Update
imbuing
day, I
her lock
believe.
onto an item gives you that same power too. For
Laimu
example,
Scorpa.
you'll know whether or not to use an Exalted Orb on your item, as you will know exactly what the outcome is. So, with all these new crafting improvements, it's safe to say you're going to be making some epic items, and not necessarily just ones for yourself. So given that, it's time to talk about a massive one. Trade.
It's finally here. The moment we've all been waiting for.
The game didn't have a marketplace
Fully
until now?
Asynchronous trade.
Over the years, the way players trade with each other in Path of Exile 1 has morphed from using the forums, through to the in-game chat, all the way through to using the website. These systems, in all their iterations, work for a while, but with each iteration,
Auto
new
reply,
problems
AFK
eventually
nerd.
reveal
Leave me alone.
themselves. Be it requiring you to be in your hideout too much instead of out there killing monsters, or never getting responses from people who are either AFK or just can't be bothered. In order to finally solve this, and this has been a long time coming, we're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present. They can continue farming, killing monsters, AFK as they please, and can even be offline. With the introduction of King's
It's kind of
March in
cute
Act
that
4,
it's like
you will
it's
encounter
like
Ange,
sounds like it's revolutionary. So you can
assistant
say
to God
auction
in the
house, bro.
Meridian Free Traders Company.
You can say auction house.
Over the last 2 decades or so, since Path of Exile 1's storyline, Faustus has handed down his knowledge and expertise to Ange, and she is now ready to take over his business. If you have a hideout unlocked already, you can immediately invite her there. If you don't have a hideout yet, you will need to acquire one. You can do this by completing a quest to defeat
I
one
never
of the
experienced the
bosses
Diablo
inhabiting
3
an
one. I
island
only
in Act
experienced
4,
what WoW's one.
allowing you then to take a slice of it for yourself, making it your new home and base of operations.
It sounds like what they had before though was
Once invited to your
basically like
hideout,
Ragnarok
she will
Online
now
levels
serve
of
as
buying
operating your
selling, which
currency
is
exchange,
interesting.
but also serve as the figurehead in your new trading empire. So, how does this new system work? In the existing trade system, you would list items for sale in premium stash tabs. And then when someone wanted one, you'd have to take it out for yourself and trade it to them.
Big Seals tab.
Now, instead of using those, you can give your items to Ange so she can sell them for you. Each item must have a price set. The prices are set using in-game currency items, such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs.
I like how you can just put it in a random
Once a
square.
price is set,
When I
other
play this
players will be
game,
able to
I'm going
find
to
the
just
item by
drop
searching for
items
it on
all
the trade
over
website.
the grid
Once a desired
randomly
item has been
with
found,
absolutely no
you can hit a
cohesion
button,
or
which will
organization.
instantly teleport your character in-game
Like
to
I'll
their
have like
hideout.
4 things on the left
Then
and then one
you can
thing on the bottom
immediately
right,
purchase the item.
and then
And
another
while
thing
there,
like
if you want,
top right but not
browse their
entirely
other
top right.
goods,
It'll be like 3
in
squares
case there's a
in,
good deal someone else hasn't
and
yet
then 1
discovered.
square down.
You'll notice that as a buyer, on top of the currency the seller set for the price, it also costs gold to purchase an item, as Ange has bills to pay after all. As a seller, you'll immediately receive a notification when an item of yours is sold, and can also see an effect above Ange in your hideout when she has unclaimed currency. Just go talk to her, claim your currency, and continue playing at your leisure. As many people already acquired premium stash tabs for the purpose of the trade system, we wanted to add a way for you to convert your existing tabs to merchants tabs, if you want. You can do that here, on the website. but only if you purchase those tabs before the release of the third edict. To clarify, the existing trade system will remain fully intact, so your premium stash tabs will not lose any of their functionality. We just figured people might want to switch over to this new system. We expect a lot of
see.
feedback around this new system and are looking forward to trying it out with you. As we are not able to test internally with an entire, thriving economy, there will certainly be some kinks to work out. Based on how the system goes, we will be adding it to Path of Exile 1 when ready, so any of the tabs you purchase will also be usable there later. Next up, we're going to be talking about our new supporter packs. Today, we're launching
If I had
two
to
new
guess, I would
series
have
of
said
supporter
New
packs,
Zealand.
the Justice and Trathan Executioner packs. Each tier contains the
Like,
pack's
I don't
full
think
face
that's
value in
Australian. I think that's a
points,
New Zealand
alongside
accent.
several exclusive microtransactions.
It is?
As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way.
All those
The Justice series
times
of
I watched
supporter
Flight of the
packs
Conchords
contains
paying
6
off.
exclusive microtransactions.
I like
Claim
the little
glory
baby
after
griffin.
defeating enemies, or inspire your allies by calling down the Banner of Justice portal. The Sphinx Mystic
I
hideout
would have said that the
decoration
way
will
that he says
identify
pit is
items
pit.
for you,
So it sounds
displaying
like
them
pet.
as it does so. This ancient creature has been presented with many items over the eons, so has some strong expressions to make on the quality of your wares.
I like it when they are doing the roll call
Become a true
and they
warrior,
say, like,
worthy
Brett
of
is
delivering
like,
the justice of the eternal gods with the Apostle of Justice armor set. This armor set also comes with a matching back attachment containing a set of scales to measure your worth. With the Apostle of Justice finisher effect equipped, the Goddess of Justice herself will appear to decide on a verdict for slain unique enemies. Witness as she decides the fate of your slain foes. Will they ascend to be amongst the gods or be banished to the underworld?
That's kind of cool.
The Griffin fledgling pet will be a courageous companion as you journey throughout Rayclast.
Bird. I like the
Take
bird.
your
I
place
want
in the
the bird.
skies in the Plateau of the Gods hideout.
Whoa.
This hideout comes with many different sections for setting up your home or base of operations. In order to travel between them, you simply just need to walk off the edge. Like a true eternal god, you can float between the mountains on the clouds themselves. The Trathan Executioner pack series
Very extra.
also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Trathan Executioner finisher effect is a brutal display of Trathan might, crushing slain unique enemies as if they were bugs beneath your heel. As a Trathan Executioner, you're the perfect master for the ever-hungry carrion raptor pet. It has taken a particular liking to the taste of other pets, and at your command it will swoop down and eviscerate them,
What?
proceeding to satisfy its hunger by feeding on their corpse. The nobles of the 4 major Trathan houses
I
had
don't
their
like that one.
mercenaries,
I don't want that
but
one.
if their hired hands became notably irritating, they'd have to call in the Trathan Executioners. You can now embrace their methods and become brutality incarnate with the Cruel Trathan Executioner armor set. The matching Cruel Trathan Executioner cloak will
USB,
shroud
thank you for the
in
6
skulls
months. Thank you,
as you
thank
crush
you.
the skulls of your enemies and leave a trail of blood behind you as you build up a kill streak. Or use the alternate variant to simply put a skeleton on your back.
That's fun too.
Be bathed in blood as you mutilate monsters with the Cruel Trathan Executioner character effect. The swirling blood increases in volume as
I
your
like the blood
spree of
cloak.
slaughter
That's really
continues.
cool.
Both this effect and the cloak use the same kill streak for tracking how much blood is shown. After a long and tiring day of executions, enjoy a relaxing game of dice with the Goblin Gambler's Hideout decoration. They'll definitely be playing fair, right? The Pulverizer map device brings a horrid efficiency to punishing the damned of Trathis. Each map you open will execute the next victims. This map device in its true ruthlessness tracks the total number of monsters killed, your kills per second, and your largest kill streak up to the point of the map being completed. This is then displayed on a leaderboard so you can take a measure of you and your friends' violence at the end of each map. Additionally, Any microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in
The
Path
amount of
Exile
like
1.
work that has gone into these is
That's
actually
enough about
pretty
cosmetics.
insane.
Let's get into the Q&A.
Okay.
But firstly, I want to give a huge thank you for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, at 11 AM NZ time, or 4 PM Pacific, we'll post Path of Exile 2, the third Edict's patch notes. With the release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you need for the
Awesome
release.
though. Yeah, the supporter packs were really cool. I think those will sell a ridiculous amount because that's very extra and very neat. But yeah, thank you for watching that one with me. I am looking forward to playing that on release. It's gonna be exciting. And then Chato can play with me and get very mad when I do everything wrong, right? It's bedtime. It's not bedtime. I gotta play Planetary Life and create life, and then I gotta yell at the Sloppy Sisters. Zaxter, thank you for the 50 months. Thank you, thank you. Don't die, Laimu bot. No rest for the wicked, chat.